Hello and welcome to Rise Above the Grind. I am your hostess, Alissa Bickar, the consultress, bringing you amazing, rad conversations with amazing, rad individuals, entrepreneurs, game changers who are shaping the world of tomorrow. In this world of disruption, nothing's going back to normal. Everything is new and up for review. And it is my privilege to have Bridget Hom here with us to talk about what are some of those things that are being disrupted? What are some of those mundane or some of those grindy things in your Bridge to Freedom practice that you help people motivate and inspire themselves and build business in order to accomplish? So, reframing the question is, hi, Bridget, how are you?
Hi. Yeah, I'm grateful to be here with you today. How are you?
High five.
High
I
five.
really good. I feel like we're cooking with gas already. So, we always start with the question, how do you define the term grind? Because with your specific skill set,
Mhm.
I just want to hear, how does that word hit your landscape and how does it show up in your personal life and in your practice?
You know what I know is this, the grind is in your mind. And this is what I found to be true for myself and other business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders. The grind is always in your mind. And there's no such thing as time management, contrary to popular belief. There is only task management and mind management. And once you can master that, you can take on a plethora more of tasks than you could beforehand, because you have to take ownership of your thought space first. As I like to say, hire and fire the right mental team.
I mean, mental team for sure. I mean, we can be our own chief cook and bottle washer, or we could be engineer, CEO, visionary, and then see where our skill sets align. So when I heard you say the grind is in your mind, let's unpack that a little bit because uh, grinding is a mindset. And, if you've been here or tracking any of these interviews, no two definitions are ever alike. And I find that to be very interesting that today's day and age, we all can make meaning from words that we share that seem to represent the same thing. So when you say like the grind is in your mind, I heard myself think, so it's a choice to think of it as hard. Like that was my interpretation of the grind is in my mind. When you say that to people or when you use that as a phrase, where can you give us a case study or an example about how that's shown up for folks you've dealt with or for your own personal experience of it?
When I say the grind is in your mind, it's understanding that you're your number one client. You buy everything, you sell yourself. And once you realize that you're selling yourself, specific thoughts, words, actions, and emotions, which I call your sales pitch, and you're buying it every single day, whether those are limiting beliefs, the never ending to do list, this is too hard, this is never going to happen. You buy it. And then those become your beliefs, and your beliefs dictate your direction, your decisions, and ultimately your destination, where you end up in business growth, with your life choices and your relationships. And so when I say the grind is in your mind, it's first realizing what are you selling yourself each day
Mm.
about what you're going to do next. It makes me think of the multimillionaires and billionaires, how they have a never ending to-do list. They have multiple companies, they have families, they have ventures, they have, 10 and a half children. They have, a million different things that, what helps them to dictate their next decision, their next best move? What is it? Because we all have 168 hours in a week and we're sleeping most of them. Well, probably not us as entrepreneurs. But the truth is that we have to find out what aligns with helping us to direct our next best decision. And we're all making decisions, just some of us are living under the influence of circumstances, environment, situations, and negative headspace to make those decisions for the right direction. And some of us are becoming the influence, becoming intentional, and knowing what alignment looks like for us to grow our companies, for us to honor our roles and goals in our family lives, etc.
Yeah, I love that. So when you recognize that you're selling yourself your thoughts, like it reminds me of that. Your thoughts and your feelings become your thoughts become your words, then your words become your actions, and your actions become your character. Like what you're describing sounds to me like the continuum of renewal, right? The continuum of getting down to the root of what creates the manifestation of how we think, how we behave, and ultimately who we hang our hat out to be or who we actually are designed to become. So for me, hearing in this, you know, we're transcending the industrial age right now. The entrepreneurs that are out there today and the visionaries and the coaches and things, we're all out here solving real world problems because there's emerging situations. And
Mhm.
so for me, managing those thoughts or being aware of those thoughts and being conscious that I'm choosing those thoughts are this for me was one way was oh my goodness, it's not a money mindset thing. I'm putting on a behavior and a belief set that
Sure.
was gifted to me by my ancestors. It doesn't necessarily mean it's me and my purpose and what I'm about. It's just what I have known. So as we move into this through this age of disruption into what's coming next, we get to like check out and review some of these things we've held as true, and maybe they're not. Maybe there's a new way to look at it or a new facet. You know, how does that kind of shape how you've come through your entrepreneurial endeavors?
Two things that you made me think of. Number one, my favorite quote is by Aristotle, and it's the mark of an educated mind is the ability to entertain a thought without accepting it.
Mm,
And we need to move into that place where we can observe versus absorb everything around us. And we're in a culture and a time where we're lacking critical thinking abilities. And we need to nurture that. We need to nurture that over adopting our feelings as truth. And we need to start questioning ourselves, develop that intrinsic questioning process so that we can figure out, okay, what is in alignment? What is true? What is truth? We're not going to go super philosophical here, although I was working my master's in theology, so we can really go there at another time. But bringing it back down to the practical of how do we get there? How do we become more critically thinking? How do we become more successful? You know, what I tell my son, and I text him this probably most mornings, is decide you're going to have a good day today. Decide who you will be today. Decide. And I'm not sure if he really gets that yet. Like, all right, mom, whatever. You're coaching, blah, blah, blah. You know, that's mom. I talk to people all day. You know, that's my three boys say to me. Decide who you'll be today. Realize that you're making a decision subconsciously or consciously, but you can take ownership right now. You no longer have to live like you did yesterday. Decide who you will be today. This goes to that next level of success as well. Most successful people decide every single day intentionally who they will be. And their success is a byproduct of deciding who they will be.
I mean, beautiful. Like that decision process and making the decisions not always necessarily easy. I will say, you know, from my journey when I decided to homeschool my children, it wasn't because I had dreamed of homeschooling children before I knew what having kids, being married, and being an entrepreneur was. However, when I became certified as a human potential trainer, I realized I was outsourcing my own humans and I was like, oh crap. I can't unsee that. Like they're having experiences that I really think I could do a better job with this. And so there came the identity shift for me. I didn't necessarily sorry. I didn't necessarily ask quote unquote for it with my rational mind, but it was something I was called to do. So wrestling with that decision, like once I was aware that it was
Mm-hmm.
my a calling, it was something that I was like leaning for or that was coming towards me. I wrestled hardcore. Like I had a lot of struggle conversations in my head with my husband, with my family, trying to wrap my head around what is this concept that I'm being pulled towards. And it was tumultuous. The act of waffling or debating or pre-decision, I'll call it, it can be some of the most strug-filled life you'll ever live. And I noticed that once I did enough of my research and had enough of the back and forth ping pong that was going on in my heart and in my mind, everything got clear from there. Once I made the decision and made the determination, this is what I want, or
Mm-hmm.
this is what I'm being called to move forward with, the path opened up in front of me. And it was like the struggle
Yeah.
then like evaporated almost. Go
And
ahead.
here's why. Because you don't have to justify the next right thing. You don't have to justify the next right thought or action because the justification is a lie.
Mm.
And that's what a wise mentor once told me. If I have to say but in a sentence, or if I have to say, well, if I have to justify, then it's never their next right thing. alignment is clear, like you just said, and that was clear. And I commend you for that. That is not in my wheelhouse or skill set or in my calling. But, I also, this great quote by Catherine and Sienna, become who you were meant to be and you will set the world on fire. And that's specifically when you live in your purpose and your calling, that is exactly what you do. For me, I put my boys directly into the fire and I say, hey, this is what you do to become the influence and an empowerment generator in this setting. Tell me those struggles that you're having. Let me show you how to serve people through them. And so I'm constantly teaching them how to function within the chaos and still be themselves within it, but then also be that ripple effect within it. But we have to always function based on the convictions that we're given, because that's going to grow our future's children, their skill set, and how they're going to empower the next generation of people as well.
I couldn't have said it better. And I think part of what I find people have a hard time with is making a decision in the middle of the chaos, like being the calm in the storm. And, you
Yeah.
know, what do you recommend? And so that feels to me very much analogous to the grind is in your mind. It's like if everything feels hard and you are being hard, then, you have no pliability to make change or to be agile or to adapt. And so this philosophical bent that we've got in here about grinding, but also adapting, moving, and evolving. How do you see this paying forward in the people that you serve? Like what scenarios are you seeing them transcending from and then kind of living into?
The core framework that I teach is emotional intelligence, self-awareness, self-regulation, self-direction, self-actualization. And for some of the people I get to work with, I teach them God as the employer at part of that. But that's not for all of my clients. That's just for some of them that want that perspective. So, but the first step is the self-awareness. Sit and write. Set a timer to do so, because for most of us as business owners, we say, I don't have time to even sit for 2 minutes and write. But you have to start with the first step is self-awareness, brain dump. Set a 2-minute timer, write out your headspace, write, dear God, dear universe, just to give it to some direction. And then ask yourself the question after you write, what do I notice about myself? Some people will notice I'm feeling ungrateful. Some people will notice I was ready to offer this person an educational experience today at my team. Some people will notice lots of things about themselves, but then you get to decide to pursue that and to show up that way or take another course. But you give yourself that opportunity to see how you were going to show up the entire day. And that's also a way to shift out of different roles and goals. It's an emotional regulation exercise. And that's the first exercise I teach every person that I work with. It's very simple.
And so after they have kind of so I love this. It's like you don't have to go fast, you just have to get quiet. And once you're quiet and you can really hear what you're thinking or what's occurring to you, then the next step becomes very clear and you don't have to waste time beta testing. So what I'm hearing is sit down, get quiet, get clear, and then the rest of your trajectory from there looks like smooth sailing, less so than the choppy waters you were just in terms of chaos brain or the grind being in your mind. Any final thoughts as we bring this discussion to a close and then to our VIP panel behind closed doors?
I would say, every single day, make your number one goal to show up well and authentically. Your number two goal, to empower the person in front of you, give them the authority and power to be better and do better, no matter what.
No matter what. Bridge, thank you so much. Where can people go to find out more about you?
You can go to bridgetofreedomcoaching.com. I also have a community on Facebook, Bridge to Freedom Coaching Community for entrepreneurs and leaders. If you'd like to speak to me directly, it's bridgethom.me.
Nice. Thank you so much for being here at Rise Above the Grind. It is my pleasure to host amazing conversations just like this one. So if you're listening on the broadcast, don't go away. There's another amazing conversation queued up right after this.